A very good evening, and we are here at the Hilton Colombo Residencies, where your property investment dreams are gonna come alive. Okay, for the Australian Property Show, it's really exciting and we are anticipating quite a lot, so let's go check it out.
You're given state-of-the-art luxury living every day. Not just anywhere, but in the heart of the city of Melbourne. Heart of the city, but no, not a concrete jungle. It comes with the serenity and calmness of country life. Stature, if you've gone through the brochure, you'll note, is connected to the very best when it comes to arts, cultural sites, luxury boutiques, bars, dining experiences, malls like Burke Street Mall, Federation Square, parks, gardens such as Royal Botanic Gardens and the Alexandra Gardens, and lively South Bank Promenade in the city of Melbourne. Oh, what about commuting? Well, if your child has to commute, tram stop at your doorstep. Train station, just 5 minutes away. Universities, 5 to 10 minutes away. So parents, where's your stress now? Stature is placed in the iconic South Melbourne. It's actually very near to the iconic South Melbourne market. So ladies, if you have to go do your marketing for groceries or whatever, that stress is out of the way as well. Now, Stature is designed and crafted not just by any developer. It is designed and crafted by the award-winning teams of Salvo Property and Skillens Architects.
A little bit about Salvo Property Group. We've been around for over 25 years. We've specifically focused our business in a particular area which we call the Golden Triangle. Every footprint is different, so again it makes it very, very unique. So it's a beautiful building where it's more of a boutique style. You're getting everything you can possibly can, and the main thing is that as Salvo Property Group, you're dealing directly with us. So when we sell you the property, we also manage the property for you. So you're dealing with a small family company and very reputable. So what we've always done, we'll have currently now, we've got one building under construction, so that's a 51 level building, and then we're now launching Stature, which is the 34 level building.
So we are here to do all the legal work for you. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, can I buy brand new property in Australia? That's the first question. The answer is yes. My job here is to make sure that you can own property in Melbourne, Australia with no stress, a smooth transaction from start to finish. And even after that, we'll be there throughout the whole process. We'll keep you up to date. We'll keep you informed throughout the whole process, so you won't be kept in the dark at all. The world famous MCG, I will show you just how close it is to your apartment, just here. And I don't know if some of you are interested in motorsport. The Australian F1 Grand Prix is located, takes place at the Albert Park circuit, which is just on the left-hand side here. And then, of course, the annual Australian Open at the tennis centre, just here. And then you can see there's golf courses, botanical gardens. The beach is just cut off on this image. And for anyone who's concerned, down that main road in the middle, there are a couple of Sri Lankan restaurants, and there's about 5 Sri Lankan restaurants in the city as well. And now just to look at an aerial image, like I said, the Albert Park Lake at the bottom, MCG, it's all within the vicinity. And amongst all of this, we are located right here. And that's why we know Melbourne best.
I'm here to tell you all about how to unleash your potential in Australia in terms of getting your visas, because one of the facts, like when you start making your presentations or when you start making your investments in Australia, as you would know, I mean, there are various pathways to get to Australia. There's not only one fixed way of obtaining your visa. One good thing about Australian migration is all about, it's a very black and white thing. Either you qualified or you don't qualified. You not necessarily want to go and live there, but the virtue of the fact that you are a person who's coming from a sound financial background and you have more than one reason to be returned back to your country of origin, Australia has no problem in opening their doors to anyone. So it's a safe place to make an investment, because once you make an investment, you're always welcome to come and observe your investment, go and get your go and reap your benefits. It has open economy as well, as long as you can you are within the laws and within the exchange control regulations. You can repatriate your profits, or you can make investments into the country as well, which is all legal. On top of that, down the line, if you think, okay, I want to call this place home, there's always visa pathways open up as well.
I'm sure you know that Melbourne has been the most livable city in the world for the 7 consecutive years, 2011 through to 2017. Now, what does that mean to an investor? When there is a most livable city in the world, more people tend to move into that city, which means more people requires more houses. Melbourne is the capital of Victoria, and it has 5 million people to date, and it's rapidly growing. There is 27 years of uninterrupted growth in this city. With this current global economic climate, it's very rare that you can find a city which has this kind of growth. What does that tell you? Stability. Melbourne has 5 of the 6 largest corporations in Australia headquartered in Melbourne. Rio Tinto, the mining giants, National Australia Bank, ANZ Bank, 2 of the largest banks in Australia, Telstra, who is the largest telecommunications provider. All these guys are headquartered in Melbourne. Again, what does that mean? What does this mean to an investor? All these employers employ over 3,000 people. So there's a higher chance of someone moving into Melbourne in getting a job. Population in Melbourne is going at 1.9% per annum. That's 120,000 people every year. 26% of the overseas migrants are coming into Melbourne. There is 37,000 house shortages right now. 37,000, that's a lot of houses. That is a lot of houses. Now, to cater this growth, government in Australia is investing heavily on the infrastructure projects in Melbourne. That's going to spend $37 billion in expanding the road networks. As we speak, they're expanding the port. They are spending millions and billions of dollars expanding the railway networks. If you visit Melbourne right now, you'll see about 4 or 5 stations coming up. There's so much of constructions going on, simply because they want to cater to the population growth. Freeways, they're building few freeways to ease out the traffic. There's tunnels coming up. There's massive amount of infrastructure developments going on right now. Two-bed, two-bath apartments are starting at about $597,000 or 73 million rupees. Unfortunately, we don't have any three-bedders because Greg has sold them all. Payment plan is extremely simple. A $5,000 deposit when you're ready. When you sign the contracts in 2 weeks, it's 10% of the property value. So if you're looking at an apartment of $400,000, you pay $5,000 and then pay $35,000 in 2 weeks. And as I said before, all the money goes into the trust account, which nobody can touch. Final payment of your contribution is required in 3 years' time.
So that is how honest, that is how reliable and trustworthy these entities are. So I know you are not now, you are like impatient, you're itching to get out there, to collar them, to get to the hardcore details, to put your signature, to actually do the paperwork, right? And I'm not going to prevent you from doing that because that would be very, very wicked on my part. Ladies and gentlemen, what can we say? All that we can say is, what are we waiting for, right? It's yours. Stature is yours. Thank you.
And we have the lovely Nirodhya Paliagurage from All Hours Conveyancing with us right now. Fantastic introduction, wonderful presentation. Like myself, so many have concerns where the legal aspect is concerned in terms of property development and acquiring property even now for the roadshow. So in summary, if you can briefly describe the legal process of All Hours.
Yeah, sure. So basically what we do is because it's a bit different. Everywhere is different. When it comes to the legal process of purchasing property, it's very different to what it is here. The laws are set straight, so you can't alter anything. There's no such change that you can make. So you do have to stick according to the laws, and that's what we do. So we make sure that everything is done with regulation. So basically, after you sign a contract, we pretty much do everything for you in terms of the legal aspect. We deal with the developer, we deal with the agent, we also deal with your lender, your finance broker, anyone else, accountant, we'll deal with everyone, and we get the job done from start till settlement. So all you have to do is basically sign a few documents and then have the funds ready at settlement, which is, say, in a couple of years' time, whenever it is. And then we take the settlement process through as well. Yeah.
So even today, there were many requirements. I mean, each individual person has a different requirement. So let's say a first-timer. What would the process be for a first-timer?
So if you're a foreigner purchasing property in Australia, you do have to obtain what's called the Foreign Investment Review Board approval, but we do that for you. So as a first-timer, you would obviously find the property that you have met your requirements for. You sign the contract, and then they will take you through to the deposit payment, which would securely be kept in a trust account, which cannot be accessed by anybody. You get the receipts, everything. Then that's when the legal process starts, as in our process. And basically, in terms of what you have to do as a purchaser, there's nothing. It's what we do for you. And then at settlement, once the property is built, the occupancy permit is issued, we actually get you guys to do your, if you can come down to Melbourne and see the final product before you settle. So then if you have any issues, we do look after that as well. We'll actually tell the developer, look, this particular purchase is not happy, and I don't see that very often, to be honest. But if you're not happy with something, that comes through us, and we let them know.
And for the wonderful viewers who are watching High TV right now, I'm sure most of them would want to contact you. And how can they do about that?
Yeah, so we're as our name suggests, all hours conveyancing. We're around the clock. We're very flexible in terms of contact. So if you wanted to email, text, call, even though you could be miles away, we are pretty much accessible over the phone whenever. And email is if it's easy for you, it's easy for us. Just look for our Facebook page, All Hours Conveyancing, or more formally, you can go to our website, which is allhoursproperty.com.au.
And we have the lovely Mr. Navin De Silva, the Managing Director of Grit Property Group. First of all, wonderful introduction, fantastic presentation. If you can briefly describe to our viewers what Grit is all about.
Yeah, so Grit Property, what we do is we help investors overseas to buy properties in Australia as well as all over the world. We do property development, marketing as well as property management. So we have created a holistic approach towards property investment. And what we do is we help investors to create wealth using investment properties.
And you spoke about a very personalized, end-to-end, very personalized approach when it comes to property investment. Describe a little bit about it.
Yeah, so each client's requirements are different. It can be a parent who wants to send their kids overseas, or it can be an investor who wants to make a return. So based on their circumstances, we tailor-made the property solution and take care of them right from the start to the end, starting from choosing a property to selling the property to renting the property and reselling the property for them. And if they want finance, we organize the finance as well. So it's a holistic approach, and it's as you said, it's a personalized service which we offer.
What would your advice be to a first-timer, let's say a first-timer who's getting into property investment?
So first-timer, if it's an investor, it's the best time to get in if it's Australia. Simply because of it's very simple. When there's 120,000 people coming into Melbourne, they need housing. So it's extremely simple. They need housing. Time to get in is right now.
And finally, how has been the feedback so far for the property show?
Oh, phenomenal. I signed up 4 clients already.
We have the lovely Mr. Manjula Kulatunga from the Australian Migration Consultants. Fantastic presentation, wonderful introduction. If you can take us through and the viewers through the process in obtaining visas. I mean, that is one area that we have a lot of questions on.
All right, I mean, Australian migration is a vast subject, and each person depends on their certain circumstances. We have different types of visas which they can apply through. So whether you are a student or a spouse or a family member who has members who are living in the country, or you are a businessman who's looking at making investments or starting up a business in the country, or you may be a retired person who wants to go and spend your retirement in Australia. And so depends on each and every person's requirement. There is a specific visa category that can be make them through to Australia. So the process is very simple. First of all, you need to understand what is your objective of visiting Australia, whether you are going as a visitor or what you want to do, and then identify to see what's the most suitable visa pathway. And there's a set application process that you have to fulfill certain criteria in terms of your financial stability. Very basic. Australia will give visa to anyone as long as they are being very truthful about their purpose of visiting the country, and then they have the right acumen or the right documentation to back their case. That's about it.
And how has the overall feedback been like for the Australian property show?
It's been excellent actually, because I mean, to start with, it's a fantastic property that's really in the hearts of Melbourne, and I think it's a great opportunity for Sri Lankans as well, because I mean, if you look at Melbourne, it's like we call it the little Sri Lanka. There are so many Lankans and there are so many Sri Lankan shops. The culture, vibration, everything is there. I mean, there are certain Sri Lankan cultural events, like as an example, the Sri Lankan Urdu Utsava, right? We have it there. I mean, they draw about 16,000 people, and then there are so many activities. I think a Sri Lankan who's living in Melbourne is more cultured than a Sri Lankan living here, because here we take things for granted, and there it's not like that. Like, you know, you make an effort to go and be part of the culture and appreciate what Sri Lanka had to offer, and to continuation of the culture with their children, and so they take a lot of pride in carrying the Sri Lankan flag.
And finally, I'm sure a lot of our viewers would want to know how they can get in touch with your representatives and the different ways of how you can get in touch.
All right, we have been in the Sri Lankan market for more than 10 years, and our website is www.amconline.com.au. That's Australian Migration Consultants. We are right in front of Ratchagiri McDonald's Lake Drive, and yeah, please do visit us and get in touch with us. All of our information is there on the website.
And we are with Mr. Greg Arbeck from Salvo Property Group. Greg, fantastic presentation, wonderful introduction. If you can just briefly tell us about Salvo Property Group.
Salvo Property Group is a private company owned by Mario Salvo, which is a family-owned business. We've been around for over 25 years. Our philosophy is developing quality product at a most affordable price and in the great location. Most of our developments have been in what we call the Golden Triangle, and we've done nearly 6 or 7 developments in that particular location.
Fantastic. So, Stature, it looks beautiful, it looks amazing, and if you can give us a little bit of details about it.
Absolutely. Stature is one of our smaller buildings, so it's going to be what we call a boutique style. The beautiful thing about it is that every floor is different, but you're getting all the facilities, 24-hour concierge, you've got swimming pool, gym, steam room, amazing views that cannot ever be built out, because on the other side is what they call South Melbourne, which has height restrictions. It's just what a boutique, beautiful building, public transport on your doorstep, Crown across the road, shopping. It's just amazing. Yeah.
And even today, I mean, we are graced with experienced investors, people from all walks of life, different backgrounds. You also had some interesting advice for first-time investors as well, property investors. And for those who are watching right now, what would or what should a first-time investor watch out for?
Well, the most important thing is to find something different, find something unique. There's other developers out there that will build the same product over and over and over and over. If you're going to invest in the right location, which Stature is, and get something that's unique, so that it's not you sitting with something that's a bit different to anybody else.
Today has been extremely insightful, educational, and absolutely awe-inspiring that we are ever so close to own our own property in the heart of Melbourne. The Australian Property Show just concluded moments ago, and all we can say is connect with the necessary individuals, get to know how you can make your property investment dream come true. Until then, this is Dana saying hi and goodbye for Hi TV.